I never imagined my life could be turned upside down in just 10 days. When he left, I thought the pain would be the worst part, but no one warned me about the emptiness that would follow. The first nights without him were tormenting, and every corner of the house seemed to scream his absence. Then, on an ordinary day, something I never expected happened. I was there, lost in my own pain, when someone knocked at my door. A woman. I looked at her in confusion until she handed me a letter. A letter from my ex-husband. What I didn't know was that in that simple delivery, I was about to discover a secret so big that everything I thought I knew about my relationship would come crashing down. And there, in that woman's eyes, I saw the truth he had hidden from me. What that letter revealed changed my life forever. The letter was there, in my hands, and I didn't know what to do with it. The paper was crumpled, as if it had been held tightly, and the seal was broken. When I looked at the woman standing at my door, the weight of the situation seemed to increase. She didn't say anything, just watched me with a deep gaze, as if she knew more about me than I did. I could feel the tension in the air, but I couldn't understand what was happening. This is a lie, I thought. It can't be real. The woman seemed so certain, so silent, while all I could hear was the pounding of my accelerated heart. With trembling hands, I opened the letter, and each word felt like a blow. The first words made me stop. I know you didn't expect this. That's how it began. The words slowly unfolded in front of me, as if they were being written directly into my soul. He, my ex-husband, had been lying to me the entire time. And this woman was the key to everything I never knew. He didn't just have a secret life, he had another family, a whole family that he hid from me. I could barely process it. My eyes shifted to the woman at the door, who remained there, motionless. The pain hit me unexpectedly, as if the whole world had collapsed around me. I already knew something was wrong, but I never imagined it could be this. When I saw him for the last time, the feeling of loss was enough to ruin me. But knowing he had deceived me so deeply, it was a stab to the chest. He never told me about it. And that woman, she knew, and he kept her in the dark, in secrecy, just like he did with me. It was hard to breathe. My throat tightened, and rage began to mix with pain. I wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come out. Rage burned my mind, but the pain, oh, the pain was so much stronger. He had chosen her. He had chosen that secret life. He used me, used us, as if we were just pieces in a dirty game. And I was so blind, so caught up in the illusion of what I thought I had. I thought about all the promises he made to me. Those empty words, those declarations of love, that in the end meant nothing. Everything he told me, everything he did, it was all a lie. I felt weak, empty, incapable of reacting rationally. He destroyed the person I thought I was. I asked myself, how could I have been so naive? What did he think he was doing to me? How could he look into my eyes and lie so shamelessly? But the bigger question that consumed me was, why did he do this? I looked at the woman again. She seemed to want to say something, maybe to comfort me, but rage made me ignore her. It didn't matter what she had to say. It was him. It was him I wanted to confront, him I wanted to understand. She was nothing more than a piece in the web of lies he had woven, and although she was part of the truth, she couldn't heal me. I needed answers from him, but he was already too far gone. He had already distanced himself from me in a way I never could have imagined. The letter didn't give me answers. It just pushed me into a deeper darkness. What would I do now? How could I trust anyone again? I knew my world would never be the same. The rage grew, but there was also a weight on my shoulders. I didn't know what to do with that information. My feelings were a mess. My emotions were out of control. Part of me wanted justice, wanted to confront him, but another part of me was simply devastated. I didn't know how to live with it. The letter remained in my hands, like an indelible mark on my destiny. What else had he hidden from me? Those words, those truths would haunt me for a long time. I didn't know if I could live with the pain, but one thing was certain. I needed to face the truth, no matter how difficult it was. And maybe this pain will be the only thing that will teach me how to live without him, without the illusion he gave me for so long. I just wanted people to know the truth, for someone to understand what's going on inside me, because in reality, no one knows the weight of carrying what I carry. If you've made it this far, maybe you've felt that pain, that loss too. If this piece of my story has touched you in some way, subscribe to the channel. I need to know I'm not alone in this. Only those who've been through something like this know how hard it is to breathe, but I know that together, maybe we can find a way to start over. The weight of the letter was still in my hands, but the real weight was in my soul. I felt torn apart, as if the ground had been ripped from under me, and I had fallen into a bottomless pit. What to do with all this? How could I look at my life now, knowing that he had deceived me so deeply? I knew the woman at my door had her own scars, but that didn't lessen the pain I was feeling. She was a reflection of what he had done to me, and I couldn't just ignore it. But what did she know? What else was behind that silent facade? I just wanted to understand. I walked through the house, as if the simple act of walking might help me organize my thoughts, to understand what I would do with all of it. I looked at the furniture, the objects that belonged to us, and everything seemed in place, but the emptiness in my chest couldn't be filled by any object. Nothing made sense. I just wanted him to come back and explain everything to me, to look me in the eyes and tell me the truth, even if that truth was painful. Why didn't he do that before? Why hide so much? I felt like a stranger in my own house, and I wondered how many times I had been a stranger in his life too. I felt lost, but it wasn't just that. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, a part that trusted people and believed that love was real. And now, I didn't know what to believe in anymore. I felt like, at the same time that I saw myself as a victim, there was also something inside me questioning. How could I have been so blind? I was an intelligent woman. I should have seen the signs. I should have noticed what was happening. But no, I was lost in an illusion, and now that illusion had crumbled. It's like pain consumed me, like I was being swallowed by it. I wanted to understand why he did all this, but at the same time, I knew that some questions would never have answers. It didn't matter anymore to try to understand, because the truth was that he chose to leave me in the dark, and he was too far away to give me the answers I needed. I looked at my phone, as if it could give me a clue about what to do next, as if I could find some relief in the words of others. But what I really wanted was someone who could understand me, someone who had been through something similar. I don't know, maybe I was just looking for a word of comfort, a word that would tell me that all this would pass. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. I didn't know if I would be able to get over this pain. I didn't know how to move forward, how to look at the future and find the strength to start over. I closed my eyes for a moment, and as I breathed deeply, I found myself thinking, what would you do if this happened to you? How would you deal with this pain? How would you move forward knowing you had been deceived for so long? I know many people go through situations like this, but no one is ever really prepared for the impact of the truth. I don't know if I'm strong enough to move forward, but something inside me says I have to try. I just don't know how yet. And you? What would you do? I really want to know your opinion. Know how you would handle a pain like this. Leave a comment. Help me understand if anyone has been through this and found a way to move forward. Because the truth is, I don't know what to do anymore. If you've been through something like this, tell me what you felt, what you thought. Maybe, together, we can find a way to deal with it. I really need to know that I'm not alone in this. I breathed deeply, trying to stay strong. I knew there was strength inside me, but it was hidden, waiting for the right moment to show itself. It wouldn't be easy. But now I knew I couldn't live in the dark anymore. The truth, as painful as it was, had to be faced. And maybe, like this, I could rebuild my life, one piece at a time. I was in a storm, one with no end in sight. I felt like I was sinking into a pain so deep that I could barely breathe. The letter, the woman, the life he built without me, it all spun in my mind like a hurricane. But in the midst of the chaos, something was beginning to emerge. Something that, even in the pain, seemed to give me a thread of hope. Maybe it wasn't an answer, but it was the understanding that my pain was mine, that my story, as difficult as it was still mine to tell. I sat on the couch, my hands still trembling. The pain in my chest was heavy, but somehow, I was starting to feel different. I didn't know what to do with this pain. I didn't know how to transform it, but I felt a strange courage rising within me. Maybe it was the need to move forward. Maybe it was the need not to let him win. But something inside me said that I had to take control of my life again. Even if I didn't know how, I knew that this pain wouldn't define me forever. He wouldn't destroy me. I found myself thinking about what he did to me, about how the pain was shaping me. He betrayed me in ways I never could have imagined. But one thing I knew, he didn't have the power to decide what I would do with it. I could no longer be a victim of such a big, cruel lie. I wouldn't be the woman who drowned in pain and rage anymore, not anymore. I wouldn't be remembered as the woman who lived in the shadow of a man who destroyed her. He made his choice. Now it was my turn to make mine. I looked in the mirror and saw the reflection of a woman who, even broken, still had the strength to fight. The tears were still there, but instead of drowning in them, I accepted them. They were part of me, but they didn't define me. And as I looked in the mirror, I realized something. The reflection I saw was my rebirth. No matter how much I had been hurt, no matter what he had done, I was still here. And that was what mattered. That's what I could take with me. He couldn't take away my ability to move forward, to start over. And maybe that was the greatest gift pain could give me. I then wondered if he knew that, by trying to destroy me, he was actually making me stronger. I didn't know what the future held for me, but I knew I was starting to see things more clearly. He was no longer the reason I existed. My life didn't depend on him. My life depended on me. The phone rang, interrupting my thoughts. It was the woman. She wanted to talk again. But at that moment, I realized it didn't matter anymore. I no longer needed answers from her or from him. What I needed was to find myself, and I was starting to do that. I began to distance myself from the pain, from the rage, and I began to make room for freedom, for recovery, for starting over. And that brought me something I didn't expect: peace. I know it won't be easy. I know there will be days when the pain will come back. But at that moment, looking at my reflection in the mirror, I knew that true healing would come from within me. I knew I was on the right path, the path to reclaiming who I really am. And I need something from you. I know that if you're listening to me until now, maybe you felt something similar. The pain that comes from a lie, from a betrayal, that pain that sometimes feels so big you get lost in it. If this story touched you in some way, if you've ever been through something that broke you, I ask, from the bottom of my heart, that you like this video. Not because it's just a like, but because, maybe, in that small gesture, I can feel that I'm not alone. That maybe, you've also found a piece of strength inside yourself. Let's together turn this pain into something bigger, because the pain is ours, but the power to start over, that's something no one can take from us. The days that followed were a blur. I went through the motions, living in a haze, my mind spinning constantly. I could barely recognize myself in the mirror anymore. How could I, the woman who once felt so certain about her love, her marriage, now be standing here, broken and questioning everything? It was as if the life I had been living was a dream, a beautiful illusion that suddenly shattered in front of me, leaving nothing but shards of memories and painful truths. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply I had been deceived. He wasn't the man I thought he was, and neither was I the woman I had believed myself to be. I had been a fool, living in a world of lies. He had made me believe in something that never existed, and now I had to pick up the pieces of a broken heart and shattered trust. But what hurt the most wasn't just the lies or the betrayal, it was the fact that I had given him everything. I had trusted him with my entire being, and in return, he gave me nothing but pain and deceit. I found myself questioning my worth, wondering how I could have missed the signs, wondering if I was simply too naive to see the truth. Was I blind to the things he hid from me? Was I so lost in the idea of love that I couldn't see the reality? Right in front of me, the self-doubt crept in, gnawing at me from the inside, making me feel smaller, weaker. I wondered if I had ever truly known him, or if I had just built a fantasy in my mind. All the memories I held so dear now seemed tainted, like faded photographs of a time that never really existed. But in the midst of all the confusion, something inside me started to change. It wasn't an instant transformation, nor was it easy. But I began to realize that the truth, no matter how painful, was the only way forward. For so long, I had been hiding from the truth, pretending that everything was fine, when deep down, I knew it wasn't. The truth had a power to heal, but only if I allowed myself to face it head on. I didn't know how to heal from this, but I knew that I couldn't stay in this place forever. I couldn't keep allowing his lies to define my life. The pain was overwhelming, yes, but slowly, I began to find small moments of peace. A quiet morning where I could breathe deeply without feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. A conversation with a friend where, for the first time in a while, I felt like I wasn't completely alone. It wasn't much, but it was something. It was a glimpse of what life could be like without him, without the lies, without the betrayal. I realized that healing wasn't about forgetting or pretending the pain didn't exist. It was about accepting the truth, no matter how difficult, and finding the strength to move forward. As the days passed, I began to rebuild myself piece by piece. It wasn't a straight line, and there were many moments where I felt like I was falling back into the darkness. But I knew that I had to keep going. For me, for the person I wanted to become. I couldn't let his actions define the rest of my life. I had a future to live, a life to reclaim, and I wasn't going to let him take that from me. I didn't know exactly what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had the power to shape it. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would be days when the pain would resurface. But I knew that, in the end, I would be stronger for having faced it. The woman I was before was gone, but in her place, a new version of me was emerging. One who was ready to embrace the truth, ready to embrace the future. I spent the next few days walking in a daze, trying to find something, anything, that would anchor me to reality. It felt like I was living in a world that didn't belong to me anymore, a world where nothing made sense. I would wake up in the morning, not knowing what to do with myself, and go to bed at night, hoping that somehow the pain would dissipate while I slept. But it didn't. The truth that had come crashing into my life refused to let go, and no matter how much I tried to bury it, it kept resurfacing, louder, stronger, until it became impossible to ignore. The man I had loved, the man I thought I knew, had lied to me in ways that I couldn't even begin to comprehend. He wasn't just living a double life, he had built an entire world around me, and I had been too blind to see it. It was as if I had been living in a house of mirrors, each reflection twisting the truth just enough to make me believe the lies. And now, standing in the wreckage, I couldn't help but wonder, how could I have been so naive? How could I have loved someone who could deceive me so completely? The anger inside me burned hot, but it was not just directed at him. I was angry with myself too. Angry that I had allowed myself to be manipulated for so long. Angry that I had ignored the small signs, the little whispers in the back of my mind that had tried to warn me. But I was also angry because I realized, deep down, that I had let myself become so small in his world. I had given up my sense of self, my independence, to become part of his illusion. And now that it was gone, I was left with nothing but pieces of who I used to be. The realization hit me like a wave, drowning me in its force. I was more than just his wife. I was more than just a woman who had been deceived. I was someone with my own life, my own dreams, and my own worth. But somehow, in trying to be everything for him, I had lost sight of that. It felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the abyss below, unsure if I had the strength to jump. But as I stood there, I realized that the only way out of this darkness was to move forward, to take the leap, no matter how terrifying it seemed. I couldn't stay here, stuck in this place of confusion and pain. I had to reclaim my life, rebuild it from the ground up, and find my way back to who I truly was. And yet, despite everything, despite all the betrayal and the heartache, I couldn't completely let go of him. There were moments when I would catch myself thinking of the man he had been, the man I had fallen in love with, and it would hurt all over again. I wanted to hate him, I really did. But there was a part of me that still cared, a part of me that wasn't ready to completely sever the bond we had. That part of me was what made everything so much harder. It was easy to feel the anger, the resentment, but the love was still there, lingering in the corners of my heart. I knew I had to let go of that love, but it wasn't something I could do overnight. It would take time, and for the first time, I allowed myself to feel that the pain of letting go, the pain of moving on. It was hard, and there were days when it felt like I wasn't making any progress, but I kept telling myself that I was. Every small step, every little moment of clarity was a victory. And slowly, very slowly, I started to feel the weight lifting from my chest. It wasn't gone, not yet, but it was lighter. It was the beginning of healing, and I was finally ready to face it. I didn't know how long it would take to feel whole again, to trust again, to love again, but I knew one thing for certain. I was going to get there, one day at a time. I woke up one morning and realized I had been holding my breath for far too long. For days, I had been navigating through the fog of my emotions, unsure of where I was going or what I was doing. But that day, something was different. There was a shift in me, a small spark of determination that I hadn't felt in a while. It was like I could finally see the horizon, faint but present, and I realized that despite all the pain, there was still so much of life to be lived. I didn't know how I was going to move forward or what exactly that would look like, but I knew I couldn't stay in this place forever. I couldn't keep dwelling in the past, in what he had done to me. It was time to take the first step into the unknown, and that step wasn't about forgiving him. Not yet. It wasn't about pretending that everything was fine. It was about giving myself permission to heal, to grow, to find myself again. For too long, I had been trapped in a story that wasn't mine to tell anymore. I had been living in the shadow of his lies, letting them define me, shape me, control me. But I wasn't that woman anymore. I wasn't going to let the ghosts of my past haunt me any longer. I was going to take back the pen to my own story, one word at a time. And it started with letting go of the hurt. Slowly, with each passing day, I began to find pieces of myself that I had forgotten. The woman who had been lost in the noise of a false love was still there, still fighting, still standing. She was bruised, yes, but she wasn't broken. She was rebuilding, one small piece at a time. And I knew that I wasn't alone in this. As much as I had felt isolated, like no one could understand the pain I had endured, I knew that wasn't true. There were others out there, others who had been through their own storms, their own battles. And together, we could find strength. We could share our stories, our truths, and in doing so, we could heal. It was time to stop hiding, to stop pretending everything was fine. It was time to speak out, to share the story of what had happened, so that others might know they weren't alone. We carry our pain, yes, but we also carry our power to rise from it. And I knew now that I was ready to rise. Not for him, not for anyone else, but for me. As I sit here, reflecting on everything I've been through, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt like your story didn't matter? Have you ever felt like the pain you've experienced was something to be buried away, something too heavy to carry? I want you to know that your story matters. You matter. And sharing that story, giving voice to your pain, is the first step to healing. If you've felt the weight of this story, if you've been moved by it in some way, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you're helping keep these stories alive. You're helping give voice to those who have suffered, to those who need to be heard. Leave a comment and tell me what you think. I truly want to know. Let's preserve these memories together. Let's make sure that those who have suffered are never forgotten. Your voice, your experience, is just as important as anyone's. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories that explore the deepest parts of the human experience, I invite you to explore the playlist here on the channel. The link will be in the description or pinned in the comments below. Let's continue this journey together, because our stories are what make us stronger. Our stories are what keep us moving forward. And as long as we keep sharing them, we'll never be alone.